One fashionably late to start the new year again. Yeah, everyone's back. Um, if the world in this little break could have created the perfect situation, put it on a platter, and had it for us to talk about on this podcast, it has. Lukaku, Icardi, anything that we talk the most amount of bullshit about has happened, and we get to talk some more bullshit. So here to talk about some bullshit, we've got Ian and we've got Hristo. Ian, how excited are you to get into all this just madness?
Very, very excited. It is probably the most action-packed day or like period for Inter since I've been on Twitter, except maybe the Saudi memes when there were rumors of a takeover. So I'm ready to dive in.
Hristo, how many times are you gonna make this an explicit podcast?
I'll try not to make it at all.
Oh, you know,
Just
it is what it is.
starting the new year
It
with
would be so
with the
funny.
Jovic shirt.
Yeah, I got the
Imagine me
Jovic.
being the least explicit of all.
Isn't it signed?
It's not. The other one
Oh,
is
I thought you.
signed.
Okay, I knew you had one that was Jovetic that was signed.
Yeah,
Nice.
of course. But I have a photo with him as well.
What?
The
Did
guy
you
that
not see
passed
the
up
photo?
on
No,
Handanovic, the captain of
dude.
years, and just for Jovetic, who was here for a year and a half.
Man, so jealous. Look you. Nice.
Bro, this was the season that we were first on Christmas Day, and I said to him, like, bro, are we winning the league? And he's like, we'll try. And
No,
I
he
said,
didn't
like,
try
try harder,
anymore.
please.
Yeah, he didn't.
They didn't. They didn't. He didn't give a fuck.
But what are we gonna get into first? Do we just start with the Lukaku? Do we just jump into that?
Do you want to start with Icardi first, and then we can slightly, transition into Lukaku and whatever he said, because it's a lot.
Yeah. All right. I mean, Icardi, that's the newest thing, so I guess that's the smartest, most recent. Yeah. I mean, and rumors are, I mean, he's gonna go to Juventus on loan, complete his villain arc. Let me pull up the numbers.
I'm so
But I mean,
happy.
this is something that has been talked about for like a couple of years now that he might go back. I mean, you had Wanda with all the black and white shit for a while, like look like hints, whatever you want to call them, because nothing is just face value with them because they're just insane. But 6 month loan, option to buy around 35 million. Juventus paying 2.5 million for the loan. Um, I mean, if he was gonna come back to Serie A, it was gonna be there, and I mean, it would be worse if he was going to a good team at Juventus, but he's going to like the most comical Juventus of the past 10 years. So, I mean, I'm not too scared of it. I think it's going to be funny. I think there's going to be plenty of memes that come out of it if it happens. Yeah, I'm
So
not
funny.
worried about it. Hristo, what do you think? Do you think this guy is even relevant anymore?
I mean, I think he is relevant, but just because he was a captain of Inter for so many years, and he did such great things with, let's say, a very poor team, and it's something that was remarkable at the time. And looking back on it, it's even more remarkable considering how good he was or his scoring abilities. But since he left Inter, he's not the same player anymore. I do think that he's a great player as well, but he's a great goal scorer. Let's put it that way. As long as he gets the service at Juventus, he'll do well. The problem is that they lack midfield, they lack creativity, they lack good players, and it's something that they have been struggling for so many years, and I don't see that improving. I want him to succeed, but we'll see. Uh, no, but for real, like 35 million for a player of his abilities is not much. But
What did you see that picture of him recently?
him being,
His abilities look like they're at the dinner table right now.
to be fair, the bar is
Yeah.
set low at Juventus, so you cannot go wrong. Let's say it was Higuain, Morata, and now Icardi. So even by being, 50% of his abilities, he'll do pretty much whatever Morata and Higuain did together. Um, the question is he going to get the service that he needs? I don't think so. Dybala is always injured. Chiesa has been injured in the past month or two. Their midfield sucks, and it hasn't been addressed for the past, 3, 4, 5 years since Pogba left, basically. And it's not something that they've been good at. So I just, as Mike said, I just want to see the shit show in full effort, and I'll enjoy every single second of it.
Yeah, it'll get me to tune into some more Juve games that I probably wouldn't, and I guess it'll make the Derby d'Italia quite spicy. Even though like it's only going to be the Derby in Turin unless he's still here for the Supercoppa, which I mean we'll get into, postponed everything.
Ooh, nice. I forgot about that.
Yeah, but Ian, what do you think about this whole situation?
I mean, when I first started to be more vocal about Inter, I really, really liked Icardi. I still remember the hat trick against Milan. I still remember all the good things he did. I remember all the shitty things he did. I don't think anyone will forget how he basically faked a knee injury and left us out to dry in one of the most crucial parts of the season. So from that point of view, he can go fuck himself. But he also did drag us from the gutter to there. So, it's a double-edged sword for me what to think. Regarding his abilities right now, Mikey, like you said, they're mostly at the dinner table. I think that man has a bigger beer guts, beer belly, whatever you want to call it, than my uncle, and he's been drinking for the past 60 years.
Oh my god!
So it's we'll see if he can get back into shape. If Juventus can sort their shit out regarding COVID injuries, maybe getting a proper creative midfielder that isn't just Locatelli to play constantly. And even I don't know what Locatelli has been doing this season. I haven't heard or seen much of him on the timeline. I saw much more when he was playing for Sassuolo. Because I'll be honest, I don't watch Juventus. Don't really have the motivation to. I don't know. It will be an interesting experiment. One thing I do wonder is I know we have a clause with PSG if they sell him to, I think, only Juventus, or is it the whole Serie A?
I think it's Juventus. I think I know what you're talking about, but it might have expired. I think it was actually.
Yeah,
has
that's what I'm
expired.
wondering. Yeah, if they do exercise the option, do we get some of the money back? Because ideally, we could use the money.
We are poor.
Yeah,
we are poor.
Yeah, money's money. Icardi making us a little bit one last time. That would be nice. But I like what Indrahari, if I pronounce that wrong, I am so sorry. But saying starting with Perisic celebrating Icardi back in Serie A. I mean, we know those two guys don't like each other, and we know that Perisic doesn't like Juventus. We've seen, him with Quadrado all the years. So I mean, that guy against those two would be a sight to see. There might be a fight. I hope there would be a fight. I just hope nobody would be suspended for too long. But talking, I think it was Hristo mentioned about how, Icardi seems to only be going to bad or does well in bad teams in Serie A. I mean, that just reminded me of the 2014-15 season where, I mean, our midfield was completely trash. I mean, that was Kovacic, Guarin, Kuzmanovic, Medel, Brazo for like a little bit, but I mean, that was before he knew what his position was. Like,
Walter Gargano.
Yeah. Bad team. But I mean, it's a similar situation with the midfields, I think. Like, I mean, the one somewhat decent player in that midfield at Juventus is, of course, Locatelli, young player, carries the ball, can pass pretty well. I mean, the only decent midfielder in that team that year was Kovacic. So I don't know. There's just some weird parallels there. I mean, that Inter finished, what did we finish that year? 8th. So, I mean, if that's what Juve is destined for, I mean, that would be fine with me. So, I mean, it's just one, I guess, to keep our eyes on. I'm sure there will be plenty more to say of it in the future. I guess Wanda will be back on Italian television at some point. I don't know if she'll be fighting with oh, what's his face, Agnelli now, or what's going to be going on there. I think that would be an epic phone battle on live television. But the
Imagine her
possibility,
with Nedved.
oh, they almost look the same. It's like can't spot the difference. But there are just so many possibilities of shit to go sideways in this. I don't even know why Juve would try it. I get you need a goal scorer, but I mean, do you really want the circus that comes along with all of that? I don't
We
know.
just looking back on it, Icardi at Inter was on the top of the food chain. There was nobody that was higher than him. He was the captain. He was the star boy. He was scoring all the goals and doing all the right things. But at Juventus, you have Dybala, who's fan favorite. You have Chiesa, who just won the Euros. You have, I don't know, Chiellini and Bonucci, who are always, or Bonucci less than Chiellini, but there are players that they are beloved and huge egos, which something that was not present while he was at Inter. And that's something different. Besides, having the bad midfield and having bad creative midfielders overall, I think him not being the top dog is gonna play he's not gonna play in his favor at the end of the day, and that's something that will be seen, and it will be fun to see how it pans out, considering him going batshit crazy when he doesn't play in the first team or whatever.
Yeah, like I said, the possibilities are absolutely endless for the way that could go. Let's see, Indra Hari
I
again.
think else the timeline will be fun. I think the memes will be like proper memes, like World War III level memes. If anyone knows from Twitter, that was fun. Saudi takeover Inter, that was fun. Super League Twitter, that was one thing I'm interested in, not really related, but one that has a picture of her kids in Milan jerseys. Will she get them into Juventus jerseys now?
Ooh.
To complete the trio.
Yeah, we'll see. Because I'm sure there are some pictures of them in Inter jerseys, now in Milan jerseys. It's like the Frank Kessié of children.
The poor thing is, it's like these kids get plucked out to take these pictures. Like these poor kids just want to play like some Fortnite or some shit. Like they don't care. They don't want to go on social media and like see like their mom and their stepdad like half naked. Like these kids have it rough, dude. I feel bad for them.
Has someone called child services so far?
Someone needs
Imagine
to.
a Bill the therapist when they get old enough to like really comprehend what happened, what she was supposed to.
Yeah, that's true. And then I mean, Maxi Lopez, like actual dad, isn't much better. Like these poor kids, we'll start a GoFundMe for them. We'll get them, give them asylum somewhere.
Can someone reach out to us? Someone that's qualified in this area, so we can actually help those kids because they need our help. We're concerned.
Hashtag save their cardies.
For a low fee of $1 a day, we will feed these poor kids and keep them off of social media.
Instead of buying Starbucks tomorrow, please donate the money too.
God. But yeah, this point I had down here. Allegri and Icardi possibly being a good fit. I think, yeah, in a way. I mean, that guy made Higuain fire for a while. But I wonder how that relationship's gonna be. I mean, I don't think Icardi's ever had a great relationship with a manager. So I mean, it could go either way for me. What do you guys think? Do y'all think that could be a match? I mean, like we know Allegri's a decent coach, but like football seems to be passing him by now also.
I think he is past his time, Allegri, just kind of how Mourinho is just like cruising by and either getting smashed 6 or 8 or 7-1 by some Danish team, like, or whatever it was. He's living on his older days. I mean, I like Mourinho, but he's past it. So in a sense, I can draw the parallel between Mourinho and Allegri. He's living off his past accomplishments. People were saying he's going to be the second saint of Juventus. He's going to get them out together with this team. Like, oh yeah, he has so many players from his first stint that he'll be able to do wonders with them. We saw the preseason predictions. Juventus was predicted to finish first. We were predicted to finish like fifth, sixth. It was crazy. I don't really think an out of shape, out of form Icardi is going to contribute to that in any sense or form. I really don't think he will be like the turnaround, the savior, the messiah for them. But let's see.
Yeah, I mean,
it's so
those
funny. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No. Go on.
No, I was just gonna say. I mean, it's big words for someone just to come in who has been, wandering around in the wilderness at PSG for a couple of years now. Like to come in and make this instant impact.
It's completely, ungrateful to expect like so much from him because he hasn't played that much. When he did, yeah, he scored some goals, but it's not something that Icardi has been used to. At least when he was at Inter, he was, as I said, the top dog, the captain, the main striker, irreplaceable. At PSG, he's completely the opposite of that. He's a material that's throwaway. It's something that he's not used to, but he has to relearn something else or whatever he was at Inter to replicate at his next club, which is expected to be Juventus. But I don't think it's the fit with Allegri. I think it's more of Juventus not having the same mentality, something that made them what they are today. Uh, it's not the same mentality. They lack quality players. They lack, the leaders in the dressing area. Bonucci is past his prime, as well as Chiellini. The league seems more, stable than whatever he was last year. But it's not something that, or it's not this what Juventus fans wanted him to be so far. It seems like every single defender that Inter has is better than him, which for some may be, you know, um, surprising, but for us it isn't because we have seen how good Skriniar, De Vrij, and Bastoni have been in the past years, and especially Skriniar, who was here even like 3-4 years ago. So yeah, it's something that Juventus needs to work on. Hopefully, they will not improve because I like to see their demise even worse than it was so far. Um, and of course, I would love to see Icardi even be even worse and have the worst time of his career at Juventus.
Yeah, I mean, and something actually, it's totally off topic pretty much, but something to really make you feel old with this Inter right now, like this current cycle. I mean, Skriniar came in 2017 and it's now 2022. Like,
Well,
it
5
does
years
not
ago.
feel like he's been there that long.
I remember talking about him with a friend of mine. I haven't seen. I think there was either a European or a World Championship for players under 21, and he was like really good for them. And he was like, "Yeah, he's so good. I've seen him, and he's the right material." And I was like, "I have to trust you. I haven't seen him so far. Hopefully, he's good." And he turned out to be amazing. And I remember seeing some articles that gave him like what was it? Like he was in the worst team in Serie A or the worst signings at Sampdoria a year prior to that. So it's so funny to see those articles back.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been so long with him. I mean, like he saw like him, Perisic and Brozovic have been like they saw like the rise and fall of Icardi. They saw all the shit show. They were there through it. I mean, there's still like that level of connection when or if when I mean whatever it is that Icardi comes back. I don't know. I think that's gonna add another level to it. Um, it's gonna be interesting. Is there anything else we're really missing on this topic? Like anything to really put
I
it to
just
bed?
You just said about players seeing his demise and rise. Perisic actually didn't Perisic have like some fight with him with Vanda as well? And who would have thought that Perisic in that period would have won the Champions League with Bayern, go back to Inter, and be a crucial part of the Scudetto winning team, while Icardi was sitting all along on the bench of PSG, winning absolutely nothing and contributing to nothing. It's
Yeah, I
something.
mean, that's also going to put a chip on his shoulder, I would think, for Icardi coming back. I mean, maybe he won't eat that chip on his shoulder, but I mean, we'll see what happens.
Hopefully, he'll not eat it, but it's just interesting to think with such perspective back on it. It's funny, at
Yeah.
least to me.
Oh yeah, it really is. Like, I mean, and Perisic was on his way out too, but I mean, he had his whole redemption story. It's been an interesting few years to say the least, and seeing this come back, I don't know, it brings something full circle in a way. Um, I still don't think he's going to do that much at Juventus. I mean, they were a team recently that was built for one player, and that one player was Ronaldo. But I mean, he's not Ronaldo. Um, but I mean, both were playing similar games. I mean, poacher style, not giving anything in build up. Like, it would be like that again. I just don't know if it would be to the same effect because that's two very different people.
I mean, Icardi is 28 years old. He is starting to enter his prime. And as a player who hasn't been playing regularly for PSG, who hasn't been scoring regularly, who seems to always somehow fall out with someone from the management, from the locker room, let's keep the expectations low. We'll see. Maybe he'll do great for them. Maybe he won't. I'm sure the memes will be fired. That's the one thing I care about. And that's it.
Well, from one disgraced striker to now one that is disgracing himself. Romelu Lukaku coming back months after his unceremonious exit from Inter, coming back already. I mean, it was like recorded 3 weeks ago, but now coming out already lamenting on, I mean, his departure, how he wants to eventually come back, whether that's true or not, or if he's just trying to force, the hand of Tuchel and the hand of Abramovich, who has a pretty iron fist. I don't know. That's pretty bold, but I mean, going up in the face of all of that, I mean, disgracing himself in front of Chelsea fans who were trying to give him another chance. I mean, where they go now, they were just trying to enjoy, a casual Thursday, and then I mean, they got blown up by their star signing. I don't know. He just put himself between a rock and a hard place. It's a business move, most likely, but I mean, in what business is he going to, I mean, profit from at this point with the way that it looks? It looks like a PR disaster. It might be a business masterclass. It might be him actually lamenting leaving. I don't know. What, Ian, we'll start with you. What do you think? What is going on with this guy?
I think he's too full of himself, for starters. Like, Chelsea haven't been doing great, but they haven't been doing great with him and without him. He had some troubles with injuries. I think he's just trying to use this interview as somewhat like forcing Tuchel's hand, like you said. I think he's trying to get back into the starting 11. What, he has like 4 goals or something this year. If he was really as good as he thinks, in my eyes, he would be starting more. But he isn't. They built a system that works without him just fine. Obviously, they've been unlucky with certain draws and losses, but Chelsea, I think, still have maybe not shot at the title, but they can go further in the Champions League than maybe we give them credit for. But to not keep rambling on, I think Lukaku is just digging himself a bit deeper and deeper hole. The interview is not going to sit well with Chelsea or the fans. We saw Tuchel's interview saying no one was really happy. Everyone was kind of surprised. It came as a shock. And especially during a difficult time of the season where they need a win. And next game is against Liverpool. It's going to be interesting to see.
Did Tuchel say that?
Yeah, there was an interview translated into Slovenian I can pull it up. But he said that no one's really happy. It came as a surprise for everyone. We'll see.
Wow.
We'll see. I mean,
Yeah, he said it wasn't constructive, I think is one of the ways he put it, that it wasn't constructive for the team. Which, I mean, obviously, like, I mean, guy coming out, I mean, yeah, nobody can be happy with that. I mean, even Inter fans, I mean, aren't very happy with it. We're like, oh, what are you doing? What was it? I mean, the Curva put out a banner, and I mean, I think I can speak for all
I
of us
have
when
it
we say we
here.
don't always agree with the Curva or understand them or anything. I mean, they're a little loony sometimes, but I think they got it pretty spot on with I think the translation was roughly like it's you ran away in
Yeah,
the rain. It's about those who stay in the storm.
yeah, I have it
And
here.
yeah,
It doesn't matter those who run away in the rain. It matters who stay in the storm. By Romelo.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's pretty much straight up. I think that's how most Inter fans feel. I mean, he was a good striker. He was a great striker at Inter. But you know, he left at a time of need. Jacked up his wages to a point that are completely, you know, inaccessible for Inter if he truly did want to come back. That's not possible at the price that he's at right now. I mean, Chelsea just dropped 130 something mil. So it's insane. That the loss of money, the massive cratering of cash that would be like, there's no way there's no way he comes back, at least not while he's under contract at Chelsea. Um, so I don't think
Which
anything that he says is very great. I would take him back. You know, I'll go ahead and say that. I'd take him back. I think he would be still a good player in Inzaghi's system, and I think that's what he sees. He's like, man, look at all these chances. Look at what Lautaro does with all these chances. I could put those in. So you know, I'd take him back, but he's not coming back, and I'm fine with that too. Like it's not going to kill me.
Mike, do you think he regrets leaving Inter? No matter the salary or whatever. I think we saw how important salary and money was to him, about the contract extension and what. Do you think he regrets? And what was the most interesting quote that you read from him this week?
Regret. Um, I think yes, he does regret it. I mean, we've seen him delete his Twitter. We've seen just, I mean, his discontent. Obviously, I mean, some of the things were, of course, initially translated wrong. Like the initial thing about him and Tuchel, that comment was kind of taken a little bit out of proportion. Um, but I do think that he looks at Inter, who are farther than they were in the Champions League with him, who are top of the league even after the like changes that have been made. He sees that, and then he sees Chelsea where he went. I mean, you can't blame the money. Like, I mean, I'm sure it's just as good whether you're playing or not. But like, I mean, they got through in Champions League, of course, but already 11 points off the pace in the league. I mean, they've got a game in hand on City, but that would take them to 45 points to City's 53. Like that league's pretty much already done and dusted. They've got a game against Liverpool, and if they lose that, they're down to third. Um, it's just I do think that it really was a case of, you know, the grass is going to be greener over there. There's more money. They just won the Champions League, but when Chelsea wins the Champions League, it's usually a fluke. Um, so he thought he could build on what they were doing there. He thought he could get a little bit more money when he definitely wasn't going to get any money in Italy during a pandemic. Um, and he's just regretting it from a footballing standpoint and probably from, you know, a fan appreciation standpoint and a city standpoint. I mean, this guy was regarded as the king of Milano, whether that was something that would hold true or not. And now, I mean, he's just another guy playing football in London for one of 27 different clubs in that city. So I think in
Yeah,
some ways he regrets it, and in other ways it still is a PR move.
I want to hear you on this topic because I think it's going to be more
Oh,
robust
one
and
more
more.
thing. I didn't get to the quote that I thought was the most interesting. And I thought it was the one where he mentioned that he wanted a contract extension from Inter before he left. And then that's kind of where I'm like, all right, you put your foot in your mouth again. You can't just say that like, oh, I didn't want to leave, but then you're like, oh, I left because I couldn't get a contract extension, and Chelsea were offering more money. Of course they were, but that was the one where I was like, all right, you're showing your hand too much. Just stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Mikey said, like he really took the words out of my mouth. It was, I think he sees the situation as the grass is always greener on the other side. Like when he was with us, he saw his boyhood club, boyhood in quotations, win the Champions League. He thought, okay, shit, they need a striker. I'm a striker. I'm good right now. Let's make it happen, you know. And then you hear the things that, oh, Chelsea made an offer for me, so I had to go. But then you see, oh, wait, if I got the extension, we would be doing this interview in Milano. Okay, I'd still be playing for Inter if I got my extension after 2 years, mind I say. I mean, knowing the situation of the Italian league, knowing the situation of finances in the world during a fucking pandemic, you still have millionaires, should be billionaires, playing for millions and millions of euros, wanting even more. You know, it's really interesting to see like his thought process. Now he sees that we're doing better with him, like Mikey said, you know, we're through the Champions League further than we were with them. We're top of the league in a convincing fashion. I mean, I don't want to say too much, but like it's looking great. Is it better than when he was here? I don't know. Let's leave it at that. But yeah, I think he just wants to keep his options open, make amends with the fans, but in reality, he burned the bridges with both Inter and Chelsea in the same interview, if you ask me. He just speaks too much, contradicted himself too many times for now to count. So it's interesting.
Hristo, what do you think?
I was just reading the interview or whatever I could from Tuchel, and I was just reading back the quotes that Lukaku said. And, you know, the most interesting quote that I found, and Fede also said that his IQ dropped by 40 points, is that, as Lukaku said, quote, Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Bayern, these are the absolute best clubs in the world. Any player would dream of one day playing for them. And so I thought that I could make history at Inter with a new contract and then go to one of them. What? The fuck did
So
you
he
say,
got
my
three
brother?
more. He had 3 more childhood clubs. 3. Count them. 3. 3 more childhood
Yeah.
clubs that he wanted to go to.
That's how many? 6 in total? Anderlecht, Inter, Chelsea, and those 3.
Everton, West Brom United.
8. But yeah, it's so interesting because, like, even as Ian pointed out, like the interview that Tuchel said, basically Tuchel said, but you need to ask him. Everything you say is out there if you're such a big player like Lukaku, like Romelu. His experience and should know that this kind of value it has, or what kind of value it has when he speaks out like this. Like comments like this are expected for Icardi and for Wanda and for those kind of players, not for Lukaku, who was so quiet and yet vocal in the most important moments last season, or in every single moment that was important in the past 2 years at Inter. So it's something that really surprises me, but at the same time, you know, you smirk at it because it's a player that left your club that was hoping for something better. It didn't come. Nothing came of it. The club that sold him is doing much better than he was when he was at the club, with less resources and a player that was signed for what 2-3 million, and it's 35. It's a win in my book. So would I take him back? I would say yeah, because I said the same thing for Icardi, because I think that he's still a player that can add value. But if I had to choose right now, in the middle of the season, absolutely not, because he'll only, destroy what he have. I mean, he can also upgrade it, but right now, the way we are playing, I wouldn't trade anything for anyone, especially not for a player that says, "Oh, I regret leaving Inter," in a way, but then at the same time says, I cannot wait to play for one of those 3 teams. It's so idiotic, and I mean, It's funny because like he said, oh, Barcelona is one of the the clubs that best clubs in the world. The same Barcelona that wants to sign Morata, a player that Juventus doesn't want to sign as well. Okay, maybe I'm wrong, but something doesn't sound right, and it's just interesting to see that.
He just wants to go be drip brothers with Depay. I mean,
Imagine.
that that would be the only reason. I mean, Barcelona, that's the worst fit. Why would he even bring that upon himself? And he would never get into Bayern over Lewandowski.
I mean, look,
Even
he's
if
an
Madrid
amazing
wants to
player.
go over Benzema, I don't think so.
I mean, Benzema's aging. I would understand that more than Bayern, more than
Is
Barca. I don't know.
Lewandowski? Isn't Lewandowski older than
He's just
Benzema?
sometimes Lukaku talks to hear himself talk to try to make himself, build up his own confidence because he is a bit of a confidence player and he needs to drum that up sometimes. But looking at the comments, I'm getting a couple of these. Indra Hari, again, he's been really active in the chat. I mean, we've also got Fern out here as usual. We got Sharma taking a shot, saying Hristo is part of Kurban North Skopje. But talking about Lukaku's interview being a drunk interview. I mean, it's very much a drunk ex regret interview. I'm sure he was sober. I mean, he doesn't drink. He's said that very often because of his religious beliefs. But I mean, he was drunk on something, nostalgia, regret, something. I mean, there he was money. I mean, there was a lot of things. I mean, there's it's also Antonio Conte, right across the city, needing a striker because I think Kane's still going to leave. I mean, I don't know too much about the Premier League right now. I watched the Premier League for the first time this season today, so I'm the least qualified to speak on that. But I mean, there's a lot that Lukaku could be going for. There are a lot of ulterior motives, and I don't think he's the kind of person that would pass up on something like that. Um, yeah. What else do we have here? Yeah, I mean, for the comments right now, I mean, Fern, Happy New Year, of course. Maxi Lopez being the more normal one. I mean, maybe. It wouldn't be surprising. I mean, the normal bar is pretty low for those three, so I guess he could have hit that. But yeah, anything else? Hristo, did you answer everything on the Lukaku questions that you gave us? Because you talked about the quote,
I said a
and there
quote,
was
but I didn't say about him being in a regret.
yeah.
I said in a way that he regretted, but at the end of the day, I mean, one of the quotes basically says, um, "Going to Chelsea wasn't about the money, but yet you wanted an extension because of what? Because of stability. You had 3 more years to play out. Just play out those 3 years and go to Bayern, as you said. What's the fuss about? If it wasn't about the money, then you wouldn't want an extension. If you wanted to leave, then you sit out the contract or you play out the contract, let the contract run out, and just go to Bayern or Bas or
Or
Barca Real.
if you like Inter that much, what's the torture in staying
Sorry.
3 more years? I know you're not getting as much pay. I mean, also there's the whole player side of it that they are entitled to make the most of their short career with as much money as they can. But it goes back to him putting his foot in his mouth so many times. It's about an extension. It's not about money. When Chelsea put in this giant bid with this giant contract, my head wasn't at Inter anymore. That was an older comment, but I mean, there's just so many of them, and it's littered with that. And then, I mean, this is supposed to be his apology statement from everything that happened. I mean, he put something out through his agent, which basically blamed the fans, and we're like, y'all should feel bad for being upset. It's just, I don't know.
I just wanted to just filter out one more quote that really baffled me. Basically, Lukaku says, quote, "We could have continued after 2 great years. We could have continued this progression as players for me, Lautaro, Barella, Bastoni, Skriniar. We grew together. It didn't happen. So I said to myself that there was only one team that I could imagine myself in the mind, or I could imagine in my mind. It was Chelsea. I mean, whose fault is it that you didn't continue with the team and you didn't progress further with the team? It's not ours. It's not Agnellis. It's not, I don't know, Ferraris. What the fuck you mean, bro? It was you who chose to leave the team. The same goes for Hakimi. You both, as players, decided to leave the team. Hakimi didn't say a thing, although in some previous interviews, he was the one that said he regretted or he regrets not playing, further up the field as he did with Conte and Inter, but he plays more of a traditional right wing or a right back. So it seems like every player that left Inter has regretted the decision afterwards.
I mean, was the
Etrolef,
Hakimi thing his own volition? Like somebody had to be sold, and he was the one that got sold. I never thought that was really on him. And I mean, even like right after he was sold, like he's posing on Instagram with this giant mural that he had painted of him with the Scudetto. I'm like, all right, I mean, some things happen. Tough. I don't hold anything against the guy. I'm not gonna watch PSG because I don't want to see that and be like, what if? But yeah, I don't have anything against him. And yeah, he is put back in that right back spot. And I think he's being exposed like that in a way, like sort of way that Teo Hernandez gets, you know, exploited sometimes on that left side for Milan. So, I mean, that I feel like that situation's a lot different than Lukaku, who has been very vocal in 47 different ways at this point where no one knows what he means anymore.
do you think that he would have stayed if Inter didn't have to sell Hakimi?
uh in a roundabout way, yes, because then Conte wouldn't have left,
No, no,
and if
no. I'm
Conte's
saying
here.
Conte's leaving, Lukaku's leaving. Do you think Hakimi is staying with Inzaghi as a head coach?
Yeah, I
Just
mean, he never
everything.
even got the chance. He was already gone by the time Inzaghi was manager.
Yeah, because first it was Hakimi, then it was Conte, then it
Yeah,
was everything else, right?
I know, I know. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, like, hypothetically about him, being at Inter.
I think if Lukaku was sold first, that Hakimi would have stayed, because that would have fulfilled the monetary need we had, which also is kind of what adds, more bad taste to that Lukaku departure. It's like, well, if you thought you were going to leave, if Chelsea were sniffing around, why not at the beginning of the summer be like, hey, I don't have this extension that now I say that I want. Um, why don't we see what my options are? I'll be the one that goes. I mean, maybe he wouldn't say it in that way, but to be like, all right, someone's got to be sold. I'm interested, if that would have happened before, or if Chelsea would have given up on Haaland and Kane earlier, I mean, we could still be talking about Hakimi on the right.
I don't think that he would have stayed, if I'm being completely honest, because I always saw him as a player who felt like Inter was his stepping stone of a club, just to get to the next level. Because he doesn't seem like the type of guy to come to a club and
Oh yeah, he
play
was
for a
never
club.
he was never gonna be like the next Zanetti or something. I mean, he was always gonna leave, but no, another year or two, I think, would have done him some good, transfer fee wise, and just quality of his play. Like he
How
would
much
two
money
more
did we
years,
did we get for him?
75. That's just off the
What's
top of
the
my
amount?
head. Transfer marked
Yeah, I was gonna
and
look for it.
transfer
I thought it
history.
was 60 something.
Um, God, yeah, accept all. Take my data. Monetary value on the fee, 60 million.
It's pretty low, but who knows? Like, I don't think he would have stayed past this season. This season might have been his last season at Inter. But yeah, I mean, we all agreed when we spoke about Hakimi and Lukaku even back in the summer. Who would we much prefer to have, at the beginning of the season? If we could get one player back, would it be Hakimi or would it be Lukaku? I think I said Hakimi. I don't know about Mike and
I
whoever
think
it
I
was on
agree.
that.
It was
Yeah, I
probably, yeah.
mean, he was more value to Inter than Lukaku was because players like him are harder to come by. And
Well,
as far as sorry,
Oh no, go ahead. Yeah,
But
uh,
players like Lukaku, although hard to come by, I think as a coach and as a team, you can easily adjust your game plan or in gameplay for a striker than it would be for a player basically like that holds all of your right side like Hakimi did. From being a right wing back to being basically a right wing winger or right forward.
It's
yeah.
easier to come by with a class striker than it is with a really good wing back. That's why I was so surprised when Hakimi came in the first place. Like, obviously, if you're at the top of your position in the world in football, like right wing backs, other than Hakimi, I don't know, Trent Arnold, it just ends about there. Who's better than him, if you ask me?
Dumfries. Dumfries.
Dumfries has been good. Even Madrid won them, so No, but I think it's easier to adjust to play without Lukaku than without Hakimi, because what Hakimi gave us on the right, while Dumfries is trying to fill in that gap, that pace, that flair. I still remember the goals against Roma, against I think it was the Swallow, where he nutmegged the keeper, the assists he made to Darmian. Dumfries just doesn't make the same ones. Imagine if we had this form Perisic on the left, Hakimi on the right, terror ball.
No, I think Dumfries is getting there. I think he'll never be, of course, he's not Hakimi, but I think, I think he has a better, mentality. I think he brings more mentally to the squad than Hakimi did.
Yeah,
Um,
true. Not
because I mean,
disputing that. Yeah.
yeah, he was the captain of PSV. I mean, I think that amounts to something in the way that the players react to him and rally around him. I think that's good for the dressing room, and I think because he's not that one extra level up, that he could stay a bit longer, and of course in that time improve.
True, yeah. Like I didn't think Hakimi was going to be the new Zanetti, the new whoever going to retire with Inter, get his jersey up in the rafters. Never in a million years. Hakimi is way too good for the state Inter are in right now. Could he have stayed one or two more seasons? Sure, probably. Why not? From a personal standpoint, from his own wallet, financial standpoint, he made the right decision by leaving now, so he can get the longer contract and more millions now. From his football perspective, I don't know, because PSG playing a four-back, Hakimi doesn't really play good in a four-back. He has been playing in Dortmund as a wing-back in a five-at-the-back formation. He has been playing with us for one season, so he's been used to that system of just bombing up and down and then still having the defense to cover up some of the defensive duties for him. At Paris Saint-Germain, you have Ramos that likes to push up quite a lot. I forgot who the other center backs are at this point. But yeah,
Marquinhos.
Marquinhos is still there, I think.
Yeah, Marquinhos, but he just seems to be left out to dry on his own. He seems a bit confused and lost. But look, he's still doing great.
Yeah, he can wipe that with a couple of $100 bills, like the tears of frustration or whatever. He'll be all right.
Poor footballers. I mean, oh gosh, they have it so rough,
Yeah, I mean Hakimi, but the real issue is, like, if he wants to go to one of these biggest teams in the world, like he has gotten to PSG at this point, they don't play back five formations. They play back four. You have to be able to play as a pure right back. You can't play as a wing back in one of these teams. Like Barcelona, you're not going to do that. Real Madrid, obviously, they told him to go kick rocks because he couldn't do that. Like, there are only a few places in the world that will play five at the back, and it's wherever Antonio Conte is, and it's Serie A. And I mean, that was just how it was going to be.
I'm just looking back at the quotes right now, and I for some reason I've missed him saying that. Him saying basically for Loti, I would die for him on the pitch. Together at Chelsea, no, stay at Inter because I will be back. What? I've missed this quote. Him saying, "I'll be back." Don't come here. I'll be back. The fuck does that mean, bro?
I mean, he
You
can
should
come
be.
visit a vacation. I mean, it's a nice city to see. I mean, he could be back.
Just ask Ian.
Yeah, it's a nice city. Well, you've been to. Come on now. But I want to
Yeah.
get to one of these comments since we're talking about Lautaro. Brady
Oh
Crawford
my
over
god.
here. This comment killed me. He said, "I'd like to kiss Lautaro on his big ass head for turning down playing with Messi." I mean, he would also be pretty screwed if he went there now. It would have been like he would have been in the same boat that Aguero got put in, where it's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go get to play with my countryman, who's also the best player in the world," and then you get there and he's like, "Peace," and then you're like, "Oh shit!" Now the rest of this team fucking sucks.
Oh my god. What the fuck have I gone into? I'm
Yeah,
fucked.
and then you get benched by Luke De Jong. Like
Oh my
it would have
god.
been a shit show for him. So yeah, I'm sure he's pretty happy that he stayed at Inter as well. And I don't think he'll end up at Chelsea. Like
Imagine Lukaku at Barcelona being benched by Luke De Jong. That's a full circle. Him, knocking or his head, not winning the Europa League 2 seasons ago with Luke De Jong scoring the important goal for Sevilla. Whew, that's karma, bitch.
yeah, that would be brutal. But yeah, I don't think Lautaro was going to go to Chelsea to begin with. I do thank Lukaku for being like, hey, don't come here. But I mean, he's still got a couple more years before we figure out where he goes next, if anything. So that's still good to have. I mean, we shit on him all the time, but he's our player, so we can shit on him and we still love him, and it's fine.
At least he fixed his haircut.
Oh my God.
Kinda.
Kind of. With the amount of money, I mean, I can give him his phone number to my hairdresser and she'll do a better job. So,
Oh my
I mean,
God.
I do a better job than him.
How much money do they pay for a haircut?
12
12
euros.
what?
12 euros.
Oh,
No,
well,
not you.
footballers,
I was talking about
footballers.
Lautaro.
I'm like, Lautaro ain't paid 12 for a haircut.
If it 12 euros, how much? What do you guys like? How much do you pay for a haircut if you're a professional player?
A lot of
Like,
money, I'm sure. We see the barbers. I mean, the barbers are influencers themselves.
I would,
True.
I
I
cannot.
mean, if we're
wrap my
talking about
head
what I
around that.
pay, I do it for free. I let my girlfriend cut my hair. So whatever a footballer is a lot more than what I pay.
Do you think it's 250? If it
Maybe,
has to be like a sum.
maybe. I mean, probably Premier League barbers are even more insane. That's probably like 1,000 a haircut or some shit.
I can only imagine the Americans one, doing a haircut and in between doing some commercial, like they did in the NFL. It's like in the middle of your haircut, they do a commercial and they go back to your haircut to earn more money. But like, it's so funny to me all the quotes about Lautaro and Lukaku, and you should be recruiting players to the current club to win more, not to say just stay put. I'll be back.
Well, they also have like 400 strikers. I mean, there would be no room.
And they have a shitload of them on loan. So,
Then why the
Yeah.
fuck do you go to Chelsea?
The
stay at
money.
Inter.
I mean, other than that, I mean, it's his childhood club. That's why Lukaku went. Of course, it's his
Yeah,
childhood
true.
club.
Everyone would
It's
have
his
done
other
that.
childhood club.
Where's it? I would have went to fucking Saudi Arabia before I go to Chelsea. Why the fuck would I put myself through the London weather? Just go to
Well,
Saudi,
also,
enjoy.
I mean, not even the weather. Like, when was the last time Chelsea had a good striker?
Higuain.
Drogba.
Like, yeah, like one of the ones where you're like that top platform in the world. Like, instantly, like, this guy, he's good. Was it Drogba?
It
Probably.
has to be. Who else?
Diego Costa, maybe.
Yeah, like one season of Diego Costa, I guess. But like that is a terrible track record of strikers that has gone through there. It's Milan level number 9 curse. Like it's bad. And so I mean that's something that I feel like players should probably take into account. I mean, look at me telling a professional what to do, but I mean, like these guys, I mean, you see like players go there, they don't do well, and I mean, why would you want to be a striker at Chelsea at this point?
True.
I still think what Abramovich is doing as a business model for them, while it works, they do get titles, championships, 2 Champions Leagues in the last decade. To fire a coach that has like what two bad months, 3 bad months.
Well, that's why they have. That's why they have like one season every 3-4 years where they finish about 10th. You can't put that level of pressure on managers, on players that win now. That's not going to work every time. I mean, he does it to the point where it does work on a pretty decent level, but like it's such a high pressure situation that, you know, I feel like that's a situation that Lukaku doesn't always do well in. Like we saw the expectation that was on him at United and it didn't go well. We see the expectation on him at Chelsea now, not going well. It's just, I don't think it was a good fit. I mean, a history of bad strikers and then a high pressure environment has not been good for him.
I have one interesting proposition before Ian says something. I'm just looking at the Guardian's predictions of who is going to play for Chelsea tomorrow against Liverpool. It's predicted for Lukaku to start for them up front. Do you think he'll get booed when his name is pronounced? Yes or no?
I mean, good thing it's an away match.
It's at home.
Oh, it is? Ooh.
In London.
Yeah, he'll get booed. Yeah, it's going to be ugly.
Yeah.
Fuck with 3S. It's just for the memes.
It's I'm gonna have to watch. I guess
I'll watch the game now.
Yeah, that'll be my second Premier League game of the year.
I'll be watching the game even before you said something, because after the comments, it's just impossible for you not to watch the game.
Hey, I mean, he made that game must-watch TV for everybody now. I mean, I guess you give him some credit there. There's his PR working, I guess.
True. No, what I just wanted to say on this Lukaku situation is, not even Lukaku, Chelsea situation. How do you go to a club that is so unstable from, okay, so they're always in the news. They're always in the news, always under pressure, always have to perform. If something doesn't go right, the whole club fan bases hates you. You won't even know if you have the same manager half a year from now. You won't even know if you're in the same country. Will they ship you out on loan?
It feels like playing for Palermo or Genoa at this point.
Oh my god.
True, yeah. I mean, at least there you have the weather. You have the food. What, you're gonna go to cloudy London in it with tweets and beans and toast? Like, come on. I know what I'd rather do, but that's because I'm fundamentally against all things British.
It's just Brexit, but the opposite.
True. I don't know. Are the taxes better in England for footballers?
I mean, Italy still had that growth decree law where it was supposed to cut.
Maybe he's playing the long game. 2 years at Chelsea, then go back to Inter to get less on the taxes and earn more money while living in the same country.
Maybe.
Sorry, did
maybe
that.
He's playing like 8D chess, and we're just like we're playing checkers over here.
Yeah, but like if it was, I don't know, like why do you go to the Premier League?
I mean, not even that. Why go against Beppe Marotta? Why look at that guy and say, I don't believe what you're going to do at this club. Let me leave.
Look him in the eye, whichever eye, from whichever eye.
Yeah, look at one of them. Tell him that. And then no, you don't beat that guy. You can't beat that guy.
Yeah. You should always ask Marotta what does he think on a topic. If he says something, you'll be just agreeing with him. If you go against him, you're fucked.
I mean, Beppe has been in the business since he was 21. I researched him. When he was 21, he became, I think, director of football, sporting director of his first team. This man has been doing this for 30 years. I don't know how old he is,
Yeah.
30, 40 years. Like, come on, man. If you think you're playing AD chess, man, the game system hasn't even been invented. Like, come on.
It's insane. It really is. I'm
Marotta
still glad
is
that guy's at this
64.
club.
Wow. Marotta has been in the business for 43 years, by the way.
Yeah.
And he's
Wow,
won a lot. I mean,
countless matches and trophies and whatnot. And wow. I just hope that he stays for a long time. I know is the I read that his contract is being extended.
yeah.
Is that
Him
official?
and Osilio and someone else from.
Auxilio can fuck off.
Oh, come on.
No, dude. Have you not seen my tweet? I think we're the only Italian team on Twitter that has a fan account for a sporting director. Osilio has a fan cam.
What the fuck?
Asilio fan account. I mean, that used to just be like Badar back in the day.
It's still only Badar. I haven't met the person.
Oh my god, the king! What?
Oh my god!
Shout out to this account, man. This is amazing. Where's the bio?
Quality content.
Pierino Super True. Sporting Directivo FC Internazionale Milano.
Oh my god.
Oh my god! Someone went full Stan account.
I mean,
Oh my.
and we've got two beautiful bald men running this club. I mean, you gotta enjoy it.
There's an interesting question by Indohari. When Marotta retire or resign for Inter, who do you want to replace him in a sense?
Oh well, he asked if or he said that he wants Marotta to choose his replacement,
Oh,
which I think is the smartest thing.
oh. I mean, that didn't go pretty well at United with Sir Alex, did it?
I mean, but that's
Okay, but
that's a manager though. Yeah. That too much of that club ran through him. That's a different issue that I'm not qualified to speak on. I don't know enough about United.
I wouldn't be opposed to Monchi.
Oh, fuck
Roma.
off.
No.
Fuck off.
I wouldn't be opposed to like
Roma still haven't recovered from that guy.
No, but like realistically, who else?
Auxilio, just let Auxilio do it. He's been watching.
No,
he's been watching Marotta do this for years now.
No.
Okay, but what if Auxilio also gets like one lazy eye? Would you let him then?
What?
I mean,
we should bring someone else
Auxilio
in to work with.
He
hasn't done anything. Honestly, he's never really stepped that wrong. Like, I mean, what are you gonna say, Gallardini? Who?
João Mario.
Who?
João Mario.
Oh, I thought you said Romario. I was like, who the fuck? No, João Mario. I mean, I thought that was Kia and those guys when Suning first came in.
How can fucking Kia bully you into buying a player of his?
He did it for two players, bro. He did it for him and Gabigol. That was
like two of our best players were signed because of either the good heart of someone or the inability of a club to sign a player. I think Lautaro was supposed to go to. I think Dortmund had a bigger offer than Inter.
I thought it was Atletico.
And it was either one.
Yeah, somebody. Yeah.
But who directed him into Inter? Milito. Skriniar the same. Skriniar, I think, had a verbal agreement with Atletico Madrid at the time. And Atletico were imposed a transfer ban because of some wrongdoings in the past. And they didn't sign him, Inter did. Those are like the key and the pillars of Inter that he didn't sign. There are so many misses, like more misses than actual like good buys. If you go on like a net buy or net
but
whatever.
He was also in a lot of those years were the brokest of broke years.
But Marotta was the same guy at so many clubs, but he enjoys that shit. Marotta didn't have any money to work with this summer, and you're coming off of a Scudetto winning team. You sold your main player for 130 million, and you signed fucking Dzeko for 2.5 million. Tell me that one team in the world that signed a player of 2 million after they sold a 130 million player. Just one.
I mean,
Just,
it's smarter. I mean, if we're gonna talk about, I can't talk about economics, but when you have that level of money brought into your club and you try to go for some young, flashy striker, they're gonna gouge you. Like, look at Barca after Neymar. Like,
I know.
They bought Dembele, they bought Griezmann, like
Coutinho.
Coutinho too. Yeah, like you get gouged, and that was a smart move.
Yeah, but that's my point. Like he's a smart guy,
But
and I have some reservations about Ozilio. I don't think he's that good as people make him to be. Branca was the same. He got exposed in those the first few years of the Banterira. He's not a good director, and
he
it
signed a
turned
creditor.
out he also did sign Belfodil and some Lucas Tinhos and whatnot. I don't
Have
know.
you seen
Forget those names.
Belfodil
That's
and
what deals the
Jovic
truth.
of the Bundesliga? Ooh,
Bro, Branca
our
has been
boys
playing
doing
some mind game.
wonders.
Oh my god.
But that's the whole
Um,
point, Mike. That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah, I mean, I would rather stay with steady hands than try to go bring someone in. But hopefully, like that's not something we have to think about in the next few years. Like let's get out of the financial crunch of the pandemic. I mean, it may be coming back around. 50% stadiums again. Super Copa probably moved to the end of the season.
Oh,
Hopefully,
fuck
there's
off.
not what.
Is that true?
Yeah,
I think they
it's been
asked.
postponed. They got it postponed. I
Oh,
just read something recently. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I did read the wrong thing. But I think they did get it pushed off, but that wouldn't be a bad thing. I mean, January, February is already congested for us. Getting it moved back wouldn't be bad, but like if Marotta can get us out of the financial crunch of the pandemic, and then he's like, all right, it's time for me to go retire and go sit on a beach somewhere, like that would be fine. And then I agree with Indohari. I would want him to pick a replacement.
I don't want him to get retired ever. Just give him, just give him whatever he wants. Just pray that he doesn't retire. Otherwise,
You're
you're
just,
fucked.
you're just gonna force this old man to work himself to death.
Just take
I
his brain
mean,
out, upload all the data to a computer, and let it do its thing.
Oh my god.
I just hope that's like if he wants to stay and if he's motivated enough, you just give him a blanco agreement because without him, Inter is not the same club that it was before he arrived.
So do you really want to jinx it like Ferdinand? Ollie's at the wheel, get him a blank check.
Oh
Do
my
you really
god.
want to risk it?
No, but like he has done it and proved it for so many years, and
Yeah.
honestly, like there's no amount in the world as a football team that can buy whatever he did for both Juventus and Inter. You can give him 10 million, and he won fucking 8 trophies at Juventus. 10, you should give him 100 a season because without him, you don't have the same team and you don't have the same dynasty, the same legacy within the 10 years that you are dominating. So there's no the value is so huge on sporting directors and people that make decisions that actually you should invest in that rather than I don't know fucking young players that you can buy from other teams. Why would you invest in young players and development and years and years and years when you can buy the same kind of quality players from other countries? There's more value in investing in sporting directors than in development of young players nowadays, at least.
Yeah, I mean the model of football is changing a lot. I mean that we're talking about a guy that's been around to see all of that change too. But I mean, the way it's changing, I do think you're right that that's the way that it needs to go. But I guess we'll have to see. We didn't even get to anything about January transfer window or anything like that. Next match is of course the 6th. Maybe we'll get on before that. I don't know, but there's still a lot more to talk about. But we're hitting an hour 10 here, and I think that's a pretty good number to stop at. this is a really fun talk. I was really looking forward to this with all the news that was happening. So yeah, anybody have any parting thoughts?
Hristo?
Ian? Nah,
Hristo?
nah.
I guess not. I guess not. So yeah, we'll leave it here then. Thanks everybody in the chat. Indohari, Brady, Sharma chimed in for a minute.
Fern,
Fern,
obviously.
yeah, Fern. And if I missed anybody else, I'm sorry. I've had a pretty consistent 10, 12 listeners or watchers this whole time. Really appreciate that. Anybody listening on anything else, we appreciate you also. Like, share, subscribe, rate, whatever you do. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you all in the next one.